Can you guys hear me? Anybody hear me?
I can hear you.
I can hear you.
Okay, I can also hear myself because I had it
I
on
can
the
hear
phone
you.
there too. All right, thanks.
Can you guys hear me?
I hear you.
Yep.
Hey, this is Matt Crone.
Can hear you.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Did Joe Polko make it on?
I see him on.
All right,
I'm here.
might be having a hard. Okay, cool. I was just gonna get back to you, but can scratch that off my list.
All right. My thing has start video. It has a slash on it. Do I leave that go or no?
Well, we don't want to
Well-
see you, so.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, somebody's trying to share their screen, so I have to steal that back.
Yeah,
Dave Fish.
Jim Fishers seems to be sharing his screen there.
I stole it back.
All right.
Man,
So anybody, if you're not speaking, use the mute button on your phone, or else I think there's a mute button somewhere in the application as well, or else we will hear everything you have to say.
Yes, Joe Polko and Jim Dino, if you don't mind muting your device.
you want me to put it on mute?
Yeah, until you have to talk, because then we'll
Oh.
hear everything. Kind of gets to be a pain.
Okay.
Okay, we're ready to call it to order?
Yep.
Everybody ready? Okay, let's call the April 23rd regular meeting to order. We could have a pledge to the flag. we have a flag today, Matt?
I didn't get there yet. I'm sorry.
That's okay. We gonna do it anyway?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag
to the
of
flag
the United States of America and to the republic
which
for which
stands
it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call, Leanne?
Lynn Flacco,
Here.
Joe Marmello,
here.
Matt Crone,
Present.
Joe Polko,
Here.
Jennifer Farley, Shane Balliet,
Here.
Bill DeFrancisco.
Here,
Okay, thank you, Leanne. Okay, acceptance of minutes. Has everybody had a chance to review them?
This is Matt Crone. I'll make that motion whenever anybody's ready.
I'll second it, Matt.
Okay, motion by Matt, second by Bill.
Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Meeting any citizens petitions at this time? We'll also have a public comment at the end. Any
Okay,
citizens?
this is Dave Kavitsky.
Yes, Dave.
Basically, I just want to, just remind you, I guess Jens Damgaard had sent the borough the agreement and guarantee for the water loan that we
Yes.
have coming up with USDA. We just want to make sure that gets put forward for your May agenda.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Anything else?
That's it.
Okay, anybody else for citizens petitions? Okay, we'll move on to the secretary and tax collector reports, Leanne.
Can you check the washer?
General check deposits, $153,971.74. EIT distribution, $4,679.01. There was no LST distributions. Total general checking deposits for March, $158,650.75. Tax collector deposits received in March, which includes an April 6th deposit of $231,534.16. General fund beginning balance in March, $38,377.45. General fund ending balance of March, $116,248.18. Garbage deposits, $62,306.81. Account balance, $66,639.49. Stormwater deposits, $34,880.17. Account balance at the end of March is $53,698.55. Liquid fuels account balance, $100,252.64.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Leanne. Is there a motion to accept the secretary's report?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mr. Polko. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Marmello. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Move on to payment of bills. Did everyone have a chance to review them earlier?
Yes.
Yeah, I had some questions. Matt, did you have some too? Are you?
Yeah, I could start with mine and then you could I started to read yours and ran out of time.
All right.
One thing I wanted to note on here is in the general fund section for Center and Walnut, so that's the former borough building, we're having consistently high energy consumption, or at least consistently high bills at that property. And we're talking $400, $500 a month over several months. I can't help but wonder if there's something wrong there. So I do want to follow up on PP&L. So the amount, you know, if you never really paid attention to it, it's not the first time I've seen it. So that my concern isn't the fact that it popped up this month, it's the fact that it always pops up. UGI, we have the two bills there. So we have UGI down at the Streets Garage, the Borough Annex, as well as the Borough Building. It's not clear whether that's for 1 month or for 2 months. Leanne, I think, had a bill shoved under her door at some point in time. So that might be 1 month, that might be 2 months. If it was this high again next month, I would probably have the same question, but I'm going to hope it's 2 months. But either way, you know, we owe the money. And that's enough on that tab. Did you want to go with your questions? Anybody else, Joe, or anybody else on that tab?
Yeah, could you slide that over a little bit? There's more to that tab. I'm not on full screen here.
The general fund tab, I have it blown up pretty big.
Okay. No, that's fine. My concern is one, we still have now, and I asked this question in email, and I just got it to you guys like 10 minutes ago, so I understand you probably didn't even read it. But the question I have is, we have like this, and when we first delved into this, we had the Hemlock Street, 2 bills, one from Direct Energy, one from PPL. Now, my question to anybody out there, citizen or council member, does anybody here get their electricity from someone other than PPL? So, and if so, do they get one bill from PPL and one bill from the company they get their electricity from? If that's the case, then maybe that's the reason we're getting 2 bills at the same place. Does anybody out there?
It depends on who you have it with, Joe. Some bill it on PPL, some do not. Direct Energy does not. I don't know why.
Okay, so
I wonder if it's commercial versus residential as well.
I think that's what it is, yes.
But I also think we should go shopping for both provider.
I've looked at the kilowatt hours. We need to go shopping, that's for sure, because they probably took that price when it was great, and then, you know, you get it for 2 years and then you forget about it, and that's the whole game that they play, is they're hoping you forget, and then it's jacked up higher. So we'll look into that. The second thing is
1 second, Joe. Hemlock Street. I've heard that people in the past have tried to chase that down. So have I.
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready to just like call PP&L and Direct Energy and shut it off and see what happens.
Well,
if somebody calls us and says the power in my house went off or something like that.
And honestly, I agree with you, because I was up there and I've been hunting around for where this is coming from. And I mean, is it a light pole up there? Is it somehow in the cemetery up there? I don't know. So more than you and I obviously have hunted it down, and we've gotten nowhere. So I think that's a good idea, because, and that goes to my next point is, we have, and I don't know, I see that there's a negative on there for the Delacroix Field. But we were getting charged $30 here and $30 there. And number one, why is that? You know, they have their own box down there. Is that, or meter? Should that be? And secondly, at this point, I think the only reason it never got shut off when it's not in use is because everybody thinks it costs money to turn it back on, which is untrue unless it's over a year. And that won't happen because $1 a month on that seems kind of stupid, because they're not using it, number one. And number two, we have this situation which they're even less likely to use it. Now, I know at this point in this, if you scroll around on there, Matt, you'll find that, it's negative 297, I think that was one.
Yeah, it's negative.
But that doesn't mean that's going to be that way next month.
No. That's about $35 a month in the off season. And I think we probably double paid somewhere along the line as far as the negative now, but next month it'll be $35, $34, 32. Same as the Steve Coral Memorial, and I think there's another Fourth Ward.
Yeah,
right,
and
that's the base fee.
I'm sorry.
That's the base fee
for
any service.
Right, and Steve Coral Memorial, obviously, we want that. But you don't need to spend $30 a month when you're not using the Delacroix field.
Well,
Because
do the
I
lights
think,
at the Fourth Ward even work in the first place? Are we paying for service on lights that don't work and certainly aren't running?
well, yeah, I think they do work, but you know, even if they do work, they're not being used at this point, and they won't be for the foreseeable future, it seems. And at the same time, again, people were under, I've spoken to people, and they were under the impression that if you turn it off, you have to pay to get it turned back on. And that's not true unless it's over a year's time. I called PP&L and asked them about that. So maybe we want to think about saving a few bucks on that. And I guess if you can make note of that, Leanne, please. And my other questions were regarding I think it was $500 or something about the codes in the paper. Was that to advertise for the position? Anybody want to help me on that?
Are you talking about?
Yeah, the standard speaker, was that, did we have to advertise that in the paper in a certain place that it costs that much money?
Yeah, legal. It was in the legal. I'm hoping Leanne's going to chime in here. I'm pretty sure we got current on standard speaker, and that this bill here is for that ad, which ran for a 3-day period in the legal section.
Okay, is that mandatory that we do that?
For employment, yes.
Okay. Third thing would be the locks. It said something about a 430 lock bill.
Yeah. So we got current with Frank's locks sometime soon after they came. We had like $1,100 from last year, mostly for the event center, I believe, or exclusively for the event center. So this was just the bill for the work that got done at the park in, I think, February.
Okay, so that's nothing new, because if we are going to do anything with the locks, I mean, that's something that I'd be more than willing to do with somebody for free. Obviously, we just have to buy the locks, you know, if we get it.
Yeah, well,
so I just wanted to make sure we weren't spending money.
Done.
Okay.
Oh, we did spend the money, but when we go back to when this discussion happened in January and February, I thought it was maybe supposed to come out of rec, and I'm not saying that. And, you know, I didn't call Frank's. I didn't do any of that. It is what it is. We probably could have bought a couple of knobs and had the streets guys do it for, you know, shorter than this cost or whatever. So we need to not have something like this happen again.
Well, right. And I was just concerned because remember the door opened and then we were down there. We don't have the keys. I thought something happened afterward. If that's from before, that's fine. But in the future, what you just said is correct. We'll just take care of it ourselves. There's no need to pay a locksmith to put new locks on there, because it's a lot cheaper to just buy new ones and put them on ourselves. So,
I thought it was going to be like $200. Yeah, I thought it was going to be like $200. And there was talk about it coming out of rec. And again, I'm not advocating for that, you know, especially in light of things. This bill, it's outrageous. So, you know.
Right. Well, going forward, we'll do better.
Yeah. So does anybody else have any questions? If not, I'd make the motion for this tab, specifically the general fund, before we move on.
I'll make the motion. Or did you make the motion? I'll second it.
Dealer's choice. I'll take one or the other.
Okay, motion by Matt, second by Joe. Do a roll call, Leanne.
Lynn Flacco,
Yes.
Joe Marmello,
Yes.
Matt Crone,
Yes.
Joe Palco,
Yes.
Shane Balliet,
Yes.
Bill DeFrancisco,
Yes.
All right. So moving on to the liquid fuels tab. I'm going to start from the bottom up. So team supply, streets department. I know for a fact that they bought a masonry bit for a drill. We were current on team supply, so this is all we owe to them right now. But you know, it goes into the toolbox. The street lighting for PP&L. I have a note on there that says it's unclear if it's for 1 month or two, but Leanne, you said that's roughly what we pay per month, give or take a few bucks. And we do have it budgeted for $45,000 for the whole year. So that probably is 1 month. And then the one up at the top, so here we go. The first payment annual on the street sweeper is due. So does anybody have any questions to start out? All right, so it sounds like there's none. So I'm going to make this motion, and then, you know, folks decide what they want to do. I'd like to set aside the street sweeper payment and only pay PP&L and team supply for now. I'm waiting to see the contract documentation and information on prior payments to the street sweeper. I see that it's due on 5/20, and I think that's before our next meeting. I don't know if there's any way we could get in touch with Santander to request any kind of an extension during this review period or not, but my motion initially is to just pay the PP&L and the team supply.
Matt, are you willing to, our meeting is after that date. Are you willing to motion to pay it pending the contract document review?
Yeah, I would be okay with that.
You would?
I'll accept that amendment.
You
Yeah.
would? Okay.
I'll second that because I want to see I still haven't seen this contract that was voted on, and I haven't seen anything on this street sweeper.
Leanne,
So-
can you get that?
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's do a roll call on that.
Lynn Flacco,
Yes.
Joe Marmello,
Yes,
Matt Crone,
Yes.
Joe Palco,
Yes.
Shane Balliet,
Yes.
Bill DeFrancisco.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to garbage. So our normal $18,750 payment to county waste. I'd just like to, as an aside, my understanding is our normal driver came back sometime in the last 2 weeks. We did have a few weeks there where there was some conversation among the public about garbage getting dumped into the streets, some being missed. When those reports were received, either directly to council or through the secretary's office, they should really go through the secretary's office. You know, people don't scan Facebook all day to see what somebody has to say. They were followed up on as quickly as possible, and they were generally resolved. But we have our normal charge from county waste. And then we have, again, the portion of the street sweeper. So if nobody has any questions, I would make the same motion where approval, but pending contract review for the street sweeper portion.
Okay. Motion by Matt, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Joe. Since we are already gone through the roll call on this type of thing, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
All right.
Any opposed? Okay, unanimous.
All right, now the last thing is the storm, well, it's not the last. The stormwater is next. So again, we have the street sweeper part of it. The other two are our monthly direct debit payments for the storm drain system, okay? So I had another conversation with another citizen this morning. We absolutely have outstanding obligations on the stormwater. We have 2 loans that we have to pay off. One got paid off last year, and in the next 3 years, I think another one comes off. Maybe it's 2 years, maybe it's 4, and then a few years after that, another one comes off. We always have to pay, and we also always have maintenance, and we'll get into that later. So I just want to be clear that we are paying towards stormwater. So if there's no questions, I would be happy to make the same motion with the contingency.
Okay, is there a second on that motion?
I'll second it.
Second by Bill.
Yep.
Any questions? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Any opposed? Unanimous? Okay, last tab.
All right, the last tab is previous bills. So this is stuff from 2019, still coming around. Cougar Mountain software renewal. This includes support, licensing, and subscription fee. Cougar Mountain's the software that we use for all of our payables and receivables and all of our billing. It's really critical to operations. So $2,551.88 for that. Axon Enterprise, this is police tasers. My understanding is the purchase was for $6,000 last year. It should last us for several years, potentially 5 is a number that I heard. This is the third of the 3 payments. So $4,000 was paid, $2,000 was unpaid. We owe this company $2,124. Slusser Law Firm, we received several bills. We do have to go through some internal reconciliation to figure out whether we might have possibly paid some of them or not, but this is the amount that's on there right now. This is for solicitor's fees. Murphy Lumber, Leanne is trying to track down the actual receipt for this actual $377.40, and the one that I skipped is Riley and Associates. My motion at this time is to pay Cougar Mountain, Axon, and Slusser Law Firm. If we're overpaying Slussers, I'm sure they'll, we'll reconcile it later. I'm sure we'll spend money with them again. I'd like to set the other 2 aside pending review.
Okay, everyone heard Matt's motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Marmello. Want to do a roll call since we're omitting bills, Leanne?
Lynn Flacco,
Yes.
Joe Marmello,
Yes.
Matt Crone,
Yes.
Joe Poco,
Yes.
Shane Balliot,
Yes.
Bill DeFrancisco.
Yes.
Thank you, Leanne. Okay, we're done with payment of bills. Mayor's forum?
I have nothing at this time, Lynn.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, comments and recommendations. Engineer? I don't believe we have anything under engineer, correct, Leanne? You didn't get anything?
No, I did not receive anything from Dominic.
Okay. We'll
Hey,
move on.
Lynn,
Yes.
just real quickly, as far as Dominic goes, when this whole thing had started up with the coronavirus, I
Yes,
had reached out to him and said, does this impact our park project at all?
yes.
I don't think we really knew at the time how long this was all going to stretch out, but Dominic said, they're ready to go as soon as they're allowed to go. So we will probably want to follow up with him in the next couple of weeks and see if that's still the case.
Okay, I'll take care of that.
And the other thing is, what was that, an LSA grant that came through at the county level? And we tried to follow up on that again this week. There may be some monies coming to the borough.
That additional one, yes, an additional,
Yeah.
I think was that additional block grant money? I'm not-
Yeah, I think it was, CDBG, and it was $25,000 to $40,000.
$40,000,
Hazleton
correct.
gets it specifically for themselves as a city, but at the county level, it's split up amongst the participating
Correct.
municipalities.
Yeah, that is still
And
out there
when-
pending, yes.
Yeah, and we don't know what we could use it for. So don't anybody get too excited yet that we have $25,000 to $40,000, because we may be very restricted in what we can do and when we get it, et cetera. But that is something we're trying to follow up on.
Yes, hopefully the guidelines on that and the amount will be out shortly. Good point, Matt. Thank you. And I will follow up on the park project, because that should be able, if we have the HOP from PennDOT, we should be able to move on that in May. Is that all? Okay, moving on.
Yeah, that's all that I had.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to the solicitor. Joe, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes. No.
How about now?
Yes.
Okay. At last month's meeting, we conditionally approved the Brito subdivision, and I brought council up to date with a quick memo regarding my conversations with Dennis Evans, the surveyor. He has not received any communications from his client, Mr. Brito, since I generated the first letter right after our last meeting. So he has not made the changes to the plan as far as notations for shared maintenance between Lot 1 and Lot 2. He assured me as soon as he hears from Mr. Berto, he will communicate with me and with Joe Flanagan on the issue,
Okay.
if there is any issue. Can we all confirm as far as the point person for the arbitration in June, that will be Lynn? Is that accurate?
Is that council's pleasure? Yes?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay. And as far as protocol, any memos or written documentation that I generate will be going to all of council. But instead of trying to do it between 3 or 4 people, I think just one point person, and then we could disseminate issues and discussions and convene a executive session or 2 before this thing comes up in June, if that's agreeable to everybody. And then the last thing I had is the resolution on the curfew, the extension of the declaration. And I guess that's coming up for vote shortly.
Okay, on that, the extension of the curfew, the last resolution that we had passed, and we do need to ratify it. I mean, there was an emergency email vote. That went through April 30th. The motion did carry. This morning, I spoke to our EMA director, Wilson, who also spoke to, I believe, both chiefs and the mayor, and they're okay with that date, letting the curfew just expire on that date.
On April 30th.
April 30th. If anybody has anything else to add to that, if Wilson is on, or either of the chiefs or the mayor, and if council, how does council feel about that?
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, if
I'm
they're
fine
okay
with it
with
leaving.
that, I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
So the resolution that I circulated recently, then we need not take action on then.
Correct. Now, the second one is the extension of the emergency declaration. That one we do need to take action on. And their recommendation on that was to extend it until May 28th, which is our next council meeting. And by then we'll have a little more guidance from the state as if we need to continue this on, the emergency itself.
Okay,
So
very good.
if you can tailor the resolution to just extend the emergency declaration to the 28th.
I'll take care of that then, yes.
Okay, and that being said, we have a motion to extend the emergency declaration to May 28th.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, motion by Mr. Palco. Is there a second?
Second, Shane.
Second by Shane. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, resolution
And
passes.
That's all I have.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to committee reports. We'll start with budget, finance, and administration.
Okay, so I have quite a bit to go. The first thing I'll start out with is a credit card reader. So obviously the coronavirus impacted us. We had to close down our office. We expected people to pay through the mail for their bills, and we don't want to have cash coming through in that situation. So we did install a Dropbox, but again, we don't want cash in the Dropbox up there. So if anybody hasn't been to the building, we did do that because, you know, save folks a stamp or whatever. But there are solutions available through various different vendors that work with banks. I started out with Community Bank. That's our primary bank where we have, and they got me in touch with some people. And they definitely had a solution for a credit card part of it, right? Where somebody could come in and bring their bill and swipe their card or use their chip card and pay it that way. But they didn't have an online solution. So the next bank that I talked to was First National, and they have both options available. Now it's through another party. It's called eGov Solutions, which is actually the same provider that's used by the Water Authority. So if anybody has ever gone on the Water Authority website, in the upper right-hand corner, there's a pink button, I believe, that says pay your bill. You put in your address, your account number, the amount you want to pay, and then you enter your credit card number and you go. Now there's options available to put in a routing number to pay by check. They don't use that at the Water Authority, or to put in your credit card. This is all secure servers. There's a thing that's called PCI compliance, that they handle all of it. So, I mean, my point here is that I'd like to see the borough consider getting out of the cash business, right? Money is physically dirty. Money requires more frequent trips to the bank. having cash in the office could lead to somebody trying to rob the office or heaven forbid worse. So the Water Authority recently stopped accepting cash. I believe it was the Hazel Township Authority had stopped accepting cash. This is something that I want to have on the horizon for the future. This is me personally. This is, you know, something that I'm advocating for. I wanted it to be next year, but maybe now the time is right. So I don't necessarily have a motion at this time. I did talk with a provider who would be happy to have council, and maybe it could even be publicly a demo set up for next week if council wanted to move ahead with that part of it, or if anybody has any questions on the specifics of the program. With this provider, none of the fees would be on the borough. Okay, the borough just has to establish an account with the one bank and pay there's a $125 one-time fee for the credit card swiper. It's only a swipe. It's not a chip. So if your card requires a chip, we can't take your payment. We would have to look at another vendor for that. There's no annual fees. There's no transaction fees. The transaction fees are on the person who's paying the bill. It's $2.50 for the one provider or 2.95%, whichever is greater. So I explained to them that our bills are mostly $43 every quarter. So that would be $43 plus $2.50. The garbage bills are over the threshold of $84 at $97.50. So that would be 2.95% would get tacked on your $97.50. And no fees would be to the borough. There's several different types of accounts available. And one of which requires no minimum balance in it. So we don't necessarily even need to switch banks. We could put it into this FNB account, and then every month we could move it over to the existing community bank account and not have any fees there. It sounds like a really good deal to the borough based on my understanding of how these things work. But this is something that I'm interested in pursuing if the rest of council is interested in pursuing it. Now, does anybody have any questions or concerns, or did I leave anything out?
I'd like to see the demo.
Matt, who did you speak to at Community Bank?
Maryland, it's not really somebody from Community Bank. It's like partners of theirs. And I'll package up all the emails and send it to all you guys. It wasn't Dan. It wasn't Maryland. It was, they reached out to somebody who got in touch with me.
Okay, because when I spoke to them last year about this, they said they could set something up. We just had to do something on our end. Now, not that the credit card thing would be bad. I'm just saying that there was a way that people could directly send their money to them without any fee. And I think that goes more on the line of electronic check, but it's directly to them without us setting up a third or a second bank, I should say.
Right, and I think actually, and somebody help me out here, I think you can actually pay your bills right now, whether we like it or not.
Yes.
There's some kind of website out there. Go ahead, somebody help me out.
You can actually go to your bank, put in the vendor you want, the account number, and they'll cut a paper check and mail it to them.
Yeah, I do that. Leanne gets that every month for me. So yeah, you can do that with your own bank.
There is a way to do that online, yes. Correct.
Yeah, you just have to set it up at your bank. But I think this was something that we could set up through their bank. You know, we'll just have to talk. And I believe it was Maryland that I spoke to. So we'll take that a little further. And if it, you know, obviously credit card would help, but I hate to see people spend money they don't need to spend if we can get them to pay it without the cash, but not be charged a fee.
Yeah, and that's the kind of things we would want to talk about is, all right, so garbage bill, they're going to be paying roughly $3 per year, twice a year in fees. So that's $6 extra that they're paying. Well, what if we say, if you pay it early in the year, maybe we'll give you a $5 discount or a $10 discount, and it could be mutually beneficial to all parties. So I'm more interested in getting away from tax things.
They could just go on and pay, you know, half of it and then pay half of it a second time, and then they wouldn't get charged. But then they'd have to, okay, so that would end up costing more because that would be $5. But
yeah, I think they have all those tricks figured out. I know how your mind works, but I think they got you.
There's ways around that. Especially if we could get the fee to be an electronic check type of thing, and if people become more aware of their own banks to pay it. I mean, you have all these other things out there like Venmo and stuff like that. I'm sure.
Yeah. And the other thing, and Shane might know about this, is you can't charge a service fee, quote unquote, on a debit card. So they have something else where it's only $1 if you're using your debit card, but it's the $2.95 or $2.50 if you're using your credit card. So, you know, that's one of the tricks, that people could use their debit instead of their credit.
Leanne,
Yes, Lynn.
correct me if I'm wrong, if someone goes and uses Hammer Enterprise to pay that way, they are paying that $3 fee already, correct?
That is correct, but Hammer Enterprises, I have not had any payments through there.
So it is my understanding we would need to activate our own, that was through the authorities, and they no longer utilize that service. But I mean, those same people who use that were paying a fee already, correct?
Yes, $3.50.
That's what I thought. Okay, thank you.
I'm really interested, Matt, in any outcome that gets us a little bit more technologically advanced in the borough. I'm very interested in alternative measures, more technological measures to pay bills. So I'm certainly behind this, Matt, and I'd like to go through with you know, looking into what kind of card readers we should get, and see where we should go with that.
And I
So do
think
we have? Oh, go ahead, Joe.
I think that goes even, you know, with Shane saying we'll go a little further and I'll get off this, but just to get people direct deposit for their paychecks, that would be a wonderful thing too, I think. So we can kind of keep that in mind while we're doing all this stuff.
Okay. So do we have 3 people besides me who would like us to try to set up a demo next week?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll be on board.
Myself, yeah, I would like.
Yeah.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
we can use Lynn's credit card as practice.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, I'll set that up, but I mean, just to be clear, it started with Community Bank and they're one option, but it's not actually Community, it's another firm. And then the other one, the FMB, they came into the mix because of eGov Solutions. So eGov Solutions is a separate vendor that we don't deal with right now. The Water Authority does. And eGov Solutions can work with Community Bank. They can deposit funds into any bank, but they work most often with First National in our area. And we would need to establish, so there's some differences in them, and I'll lay that out for everybody, and I'll give everybody all the email communications I've had so far, and then we'll move ahead with this demo for next week. And it does take about a month or a month and a half to set it up. So if we voted on this in May and they started doing it in June, we wouldn't be accepting payments until July or August.
Okay, very good.
All right. The next thing had to do with liens on property. So as everybody's aware, it's been discussed going back for a long time. There's a lot of delinquent garbage and stormwater accounts out there. This is the reason why we need to continue to charge at the rates that we do, because some people aren't paying their fair share. We can place liens. We have placed liens in the past. So I followed up with code enforcement today because a few meetings ago we talked about the Torner property on Center Street, where there was a dumpster violation. There was a code enforcement action in place, and that was dropped in November inexplicably. So that I think that one's gone, but we do have a lot of outstanding balances on those properties, and I know some of those properties are for sale. So I'm not sure if council wants to go ahead and move with putting those liens in place for those garbage and stormwater accounts. Of course, we have to spend money to make money. So the last filing fees I saw for code enforcement were like $200. I don't know if the solicitor could comment on what the cost would be, especially since it's multiple properties.
Yeah, that's pretty standard for any municipal claim. And once you put the claim on, it primes everything except real estate delinquencies. So you're in line for payment if the property sells. So I think 200 for preparation and processing, then your filing fees would be appropriate.
Yeah, we definitely need to go forward with putting liens on properties. Someone needs to mute their mic.
Even higher, more than 20.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm definitely in favor of putting liens on them, because there's you know, they're going to sell most likely. Some of them will lose out on because they'll go to tax sale, but for the most part, I think others will sell and we'll be able to get some money out of it.
Should we do that by
So
motion?
Yes,
Branco? Okay.
yes.
All right, is there a motion to enact the liens, have the solicitor place the liens in question?
I'll make the motion.
Before we go ahead with that, Lynn, I think Matt's number said $1,000. Obviously, we don't want to go after somebody, you know, less than the $200 because that would be.
Absolutely. No,
silly.
those we would go for judgments at a magistrate where we stand a chance of
Right.
collecting.
Right.
Absolutely. We're not,
So-
this is just the properties in question, correct? We're not going through the whole list. Am I correct?
Right. I don't think we have funds right now to.
No,
we need to start
absolutely
somewhere.
not. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
let's start with those, and we'll look at the list.
Yeah, I mean, and the rest of the best way is to proceed at the magistrate once things open up, unless we know it's an uncollectible debt. And then we still have to weigh the costs and whatnot, but we need to proceed with that.
Right, and I do believe the Landers property is that's on, well, it was supposed to be on a tax sale, so we'll have to look at that a little more closely. But that's a big bill. Hopefully that won't happen, but I think that's the way it's going. So we're probably.
So
gonna lose that.
I think they're actually between these two in question. I think the amount is very similar. So we're talking about like $10,000 plus here, folks. Just so everybody's aware that we're not picking on anybody.
No.
Oh, right, but the Landers, if Landers goes for tax, which it was supposed to be on the list, we're not going to see anything out of that. So we'll have to check the list before we go.
That's if it goes for free and clear.
Yeah, and that's where it's at this point.
It is?
Yeah, I think this is the year it is up for free and clear. But we'll look into that. But going forward, as we stand now, if it works out, you know, yes, obviously we want to file against that if it's not going up for tax sale.
Can I intervene? Landers property, the person who lives next to them is in the process of trying to buy the Landers house.
All right, well, we probably shouldn't discuss that.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. That's okay. We could discuss that with the solicitor after the meeting.
Okay.
Thank you, Leanne.
So I don't know if anybody wants to do one motion for both, or if we want to do them separately, or maybe there's no motions for any. But I brought it up, so I'll defer to somebody else.
Well, we can make a motion for both pending the solicitor's investigation on the second.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Palco, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Marmello. Roll call, Leanne.
Lynn Flacco,
Yes.
Joe Marmello,
Yes.
Matt Crone, Matt,
Yes.
Joe Palco,
Yes.
Yes.
Shane Valiant,
But he cautioned, he said it would be
Yes.
irresponsible.
Bill DeFrancisco.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Okay, next one.
All right. Next one is property taxes. So for anybody who maybe saw it in the news, Luzerne County Council, since we're under home rule charter, voted yesterday to extend the face period for taxes. So discount period ended a few weeks ago. We're in the face period right now. I will get these dates wrong, but let's say face goes until July. County Council voted to move it out until August. On the meeting, they said they were only doing it at the county level and that it did not impact the municipalities. The municipalities, it was up to them. We did receive an email just before, and I'm not sure if it was from the tax collector's office or what. Council said that, you know, based on our current situation, we would not be in favor of it being extended at the county level. I don't know whether county council ever received that email or whether they cared or not, because their position was that they were just doing it for themselves. I'll have more details a little bit, but to date, we've collected approximately $280,000, and we projected to collect $420,000 for the whole year. So we have $140,000 out there. We have some really big obligations. The biggest one is the $75,000 TAN loan. We absolutely have to pay that loan back no matter what. Payroll is a big, huge expense in this borough. The projected payroll is $464,768. Now, if you're looking at those two numbers, we actually pay more in payroll than we take in property taxes. And some of that stuff is offset by the fact that we get a cable franchise fee from Service Electric. We get permit fees. We pay some of our salaries, 20% out of liquid fuels. But basically, the margins are very thin. And somebody's got their TV on extremely loud again, please. All right. All right, thank you. Payroll taxes might be down, right? There's people that are out of work right now. They're collecting unemployment. We're not going to get any tax revenue from that. Permit fees are down. Construction companies aren't working, so people aren't coming and building a house and paying a big permit fee. Real estate transfer taxes. I think real estate is up and running again, but it wasn't for a period of time. And are people really buying houses right now? So I left a message with county council and I said, how's this even going to work? You know, if somebody comes in July to pay their taxes to municipal and they just want to pay us, we're going to take the stub from them. How are they going to have a stub when it comes back in August and it's time for you to pay? And county council hasn't gotten back to me. The long story short, based on our financial situation, including paying bills from last year, and that I do not think that we should extend our date. I don't think we're beholden to what the county said. If they get back to us and say we do have to align to them, we could come back at next month's meeting and move it. But for right now, my recommendation is just to leave it as is with the dates, the original dates in place. Because if you tell people they have more time, there's a good chance they're going to hold on to their money for as long as possible. One of the county council members actually wanted to extend the rebate period through the end of the year, which would have absolutely killed a town like Freeland. Nobody would have paid their bills until December 30th, and we would have been out of money in a few months. So does anybody have any questions, or does anybody want to extend it? Is there a motion to that effect?
No,
or are we just moving on?
I think if you give them a shot to do it, they won't pay it. And like, my email said that a lot of these taxes are taken out of their mortgage payments, and with the amount of landlord-owned properties we have in town, they should be able to afford to pay their taxes on time. And those who weren't going to pay it on time, it wouldn't matter what we do. So I'm in agreement with what you say.
Me too.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
All right, so unless anybody has a motion, we're moving on.
I'll make the motion.
No, we don't need a motion unless we're changing it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, all right. Discard that.
You scared me.
Keep that one in your pocket there, Joe, for later.
Discard that.
Yeah. Back right in the very beginning, when this coronavirus started up, we got a donation from Garden Chen. We don't know if they wanted us to publicize that, but you know what? It was a $1,000 donation specifically to be used for public safety and personal protective equipment for our first responders. So they're getting a shout out no matter what. So thank you to Garden Chen for that. In terms of budget and finance, I just wanted to run through some things with folks really quickly, and forgive me because I don't have my presentation up yet, but I'll have it in just a second. I wanted to give you an idea of where our finances are from year to date. So you already heard me mention it earlier in the call. The fact of the matter is that we have a lot of bills from 2019 that are outstanding. The last 3 months meetings, we've had a tab exclusively to that. If I had to put a number around it, I would probably say it's about in the area of $30,000. So this is $30,000 worth of stuff that we did not know about in January when we came into office, and which frankly we didn't have budgeted for. So it looks like I might have lost. Yeah, I think I'm being very, very generous in saying it's only $30,000. It could easily be $50,000. I mean, the medical insurance, the car payments, the utility bills, you name it. I think I lost my presentation, but I just wanted to let everybody know that our projected payroll, our Q1 payroll was $90,000, and we actually projected it to be about $116,000. Now we're down a code enforcement guy. We didn't pay for the last few weeks of March for crossing guards. We had a very fair winter, so we didn't bring in a lot of extra plow drivers. We spent thousands of dollars in overtime and part-time for plow driving in 2019. We didn't pay that. So hopefully we made a little bit of that money up. So we are on target, or under budget for payroll, which is a huge chunk of our budget.
Matt, just
I talked about those
keep
other.
in mind. I'm sorry,
Yep.
Matt. One thing to keep in mind just for your projections, the first quarter payroll returns aren't due until the 30th of this month. So their EIT, LST, unemployment, all that, Social Security should go every 2 weeks, but all those other will have to get paid by the end of this month. Just so you keep that in mind. That's all first quarter payroll.
Yeah. So I mean, our budget in January was the best that we could make it to the best of our ability. And from a payroll perspective and from a utilities, our projections are on target for the first quarter of the year. So bravo to council and to all the employees in the borough for making that happen. It's critical that we get this tax money in and that we stay on this kind of a trajectory because our incomes might be significantly impacted by this coronavirus stuff. And I'll provide these quarterly updates. I actually wanted to have a more detailed report, but I think my computer shut down and it killed my PowerPoint. So unless I'm able to pull it up right now, I think we're going to be out of luck. But every department was, we on target for overtime. We do have some overtime, especially on the police side, because they're in a challenging situation. When you're on duty, you just kind of have to go to the call, whether your shift is over or not. So I'm going to give it up as far as the presentation goes. So that's all that I had for budget and finance, unless anybody has any questions.
Are we paying an additional on the TAN, Matt? Do you want to recommend that or?
Oh, that must have got chopped up here. Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to pay another. I'd like to make a motion to pay another $25,000 towards the TAN loan while we can.
Okay, motion by Matt. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Joe Palco. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Leanne, will you take care of that additional 25?
I will do it tomorrow.
Very good, thank you. Okay, anything else, Matt? Just other than we have to keep in mind the ordinance and the guarantee agreement, as Dave had brought up in the beginning of the meeting for the authority for next month.
Right.
And just so everyone's aware, anytime the authority does borrow large sums of money like that, the borough is always the guarantor on that. That's a typical agreement, but we'll have everything. We can have the solicitor review it and then forward it to everyone to review before then. And because it will have to be advertised as well.
Right.
Okay. Anything else, Matt?
Not for budget and finance, unless anybody has any questions for me. We have budgeted for part-time streets guy. He has not come back yet. I don't think it's, what's he gonna, the grass isn't that high yet. We're under a state of emergency. We have budget for a custodian at the park. Again, the grass isn't that high and the parks are closed. So, yeah, it's just our regular full-time employees right now and code enforcement, zoning.
Matt, how are we looking? Just generally speaking, frankly speaking, how are we looking?
I don't think we're going to know until May because Lynn helped me out. We don't always get our payroll tax stuff every month. So we don't know, Shane, whether March dropped off or whether April dropped off.
Yeah.
It's stupid. It should be consistently every month coming in, but
yeah.
It goes by when you file your return. So the quarterlies get filed by April 30th. So then the money will all come in May. every month after the quarterlies are due are your high earned income tax months. So we'll know in May if we're going to continue to take a hit on earned income tax. That's a big part of our budget after real estate taxes. That's our second biggest income.
There was, and just to keep everybody in the loop here with some information going around, Luzerne County did have Luzerne County manager had a press conference earlier this week where they had to furlough, I believe, 100 employees because at the county level, they're noticing less people are paying taxes. There's way less tax income because the business is being closed, etc. So just, you know, it's obviously, it's clearly something that's going to come down the pipeline and we're going to experience it. Not that I'm advocating for anything, but maybe there's some insight we can get at this point before things happen. And maybe we can make some choices now that could possibly prevent people from being jobless.
We'll have a much better idea by the next meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that Shane alluded to the layoffs. So certain county employees are essential and certain are non-essential. They laid off 35% of their non-essential employees, and I think they actually only saw a 6% dip in their taxes. So they saw something in that 6% that really struck them. Now, Freeland doesn't have, you know, what if Garland was still here and Garland was shut down? You know, that would be a big, huge hit for us. It's hard to say where we are now. This group here, the employees and the council, has done a very good job with its budget. I alluded to it before. We had a hole that we didn't know about that we're digging out of, and then we have these external factors. So I am trying to keep an eye on it, and I don't know how to make heads or tails of it. But I think we're doing a good job of trying to keep things as business as usual as possible right now. But I won't say that we're 100% golden for the whole year.
Yeah, Matt, if you could just and I'm sure that you will do this, but just you know, if you see something that's possibly alarming or anything, and that goes for anyone also. But Matt, I know you're doing a great job on the budget and following it. So you know, let us know if that gets to the point where it's a danger.
We can't have any major equipment break. We can't go out and buy anything shiny and new. We need to keep an eye on our overtime as much as possible. Those are the things that we can control. But if we hear that, you know, a dump truck fell apart, we're going to be in bad shape in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? All right. Police and safety. Does anybody have anything?
I'm not sure if the committee got a report. I don't want to step on any toes. I just had a couple of things to mention. If not,
I don't have a report now.
I haven't received
okay.
one either.
No.
Okay, fair enough. So we met with in the newspaper a couple of weeks ago. West Hazelton Police Department. They said they bought a Decon 7 system, quote unquote, to disinfect their vehicles. So we reached out to this company, Decon 7. And Shane and Lynn helped me out. We met with the salesman. There was really no machinery available from the company. It was kind of bring your own machine. It was more about the product itself. And it looks like amazing stuff, but it's not necessarily a cost that we can assume at this time. Unless somebody wants to make that motion, go for it. So after that, and me feeling this way, and the chief and the EMA, we went out and we wanted to find another solution. So what we did is, I believe Lowe's in Hazelton donated an air compressor to the police department. A hose was donated, a gravity-fed paint gun, which is basically like a paint sprayer with a bottle on top of it. And the fire department turned the borough onto this stuff that's called Foster 4080. It's a disinfectant. Foster's has a whole line of products, but we researched it and they researched it, and this 4080 is supposed to be effective against COVID. We do have cloth seat covers in the Yukon police cruiser. The other one is plastic, so that was a good idea there. So we bought bench seat covers because you didn't want to spray something in there and have it damage the fabric. So the police and actually the chief was up there today sanitizing the inside of the building as well. He did the 2 cruisers. He did the entire station, Leanne's office, code enforcement office, and only used about a bottle and a half, and the bottle's about the size of your hand. So I don't want to speak for him too much, but he seems to like this system. So all of that was done at no cost to the borough. So we are trying to take care of folks. Wilson and the EMA provided Leanne with a mask. We're with masks. The streets department has masks, and the police department has the masks. We're an essential business, and the new guideline came out last week that we have to have masks. So that's what we're doing from a safety perspective. And I don't think it was after the last meeting. If it's not, I'm bringing it up anyway. Insurrection Distillery in Lehighton. They make gin and all this other stuff. They were making hand sanitizer, or actually surface sanitizer for first responders. And they were contacted and they refused any kind of a payment, and they donated. It was probably about 3 gallons, and that was distributed amongst the police department, the fire department, and the ambulance. And again, that was at no cost to the borough. So thank you, Insurrection Distillery.
Very good.
I just wanted to add really quickly, and like Matt said, we saw some other municipalities and other departments getting these systems, and everybody's going to see a lot of municipalities making purchases at this time to combat the virus, whether it's a decontaminating system or something that's going to assist their workers from working from home, etc. And Joe, I'm sure you can chime in and say that FEMA will be reimbursing a lot of things that are bought at this time. So it comes down to really the decision of is it something that we need, and will it help us in the future, and will we get reimbursed for it? And also we have to look at the fact that we are very strapped for money financially in the borough right now. So it's unfortunate that we're going to see a lot of other municipalities capitalize on this, making purchases that they're most likely going to be reimbursed for, and come out ahead when this is over, or as this is ongoing. But it really is unfortunate that we just can't make these purchases at this time.
Yeah, and just so everybody's aware, the price we were quoted was a 30-gallon mixture. It's 3 chemicals, but it's really 2 15s and a tiny one. It was like $2,500 for 30 gallons of it. So,
and that was with no way to distribute it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
No
so I think, hopefully we have an alternative that's good. The feedback's been positive so far. It's not nothing. And if more information comes to light, or if we could figure out, a way to swing something, we're certainly open to it, because safety first. And Shane, help me out. Wasn't there another donation of masks for the police?
Yes, there was. The gas station fuel line at the bottom of the Freeland Mountain, they had donated to Valley Regional Fire, Butler Township Police, and Freeland Police. They were KN95s, which are essentially N95 masks.
Please keep records of these donations.
Will do.
Okay, anything else under police and safety? No. Okay.
All right, I'm going to handle John's streets report. I don't think he was able to make it. So we installed a steel drop box with a mail slot up at the borough building. It's on the right-hand door as you're coming up the ramp. We do need to put some signage up there. People started using it, I think, an hour after it was installed. Yes. And it's locked inside the building. And do not pay by cash. Please do not pay by cash. Still a check or money order, and we're thinking about credit cards. So hopefully that will help folks a little bit. I know that Joe had fielded some reports from folks about having to put a stamp on things, so we tried to be responsive. Because we have a box out there, we've had problems at our post office with folks going and fishing things out of the box. We installed security cameras over the majority of the outside of the building. I'm not going to tell you how many or where they are. The outside of the building now has cameras on it, so we shouldn't have any problems with any of that. The cameras, I believe, were donated to the police and to the borough several years ago, so it was just a matter of having the streets department hook into the existing system and run some wires to do that, 150-foot wire for one of them. Center and Main Streets, they replaced 2 signs. I had noticed that one was rocking in the wind, and I actually only told them about 1, but they found 3 that needed to be addressed in that area, so they worked on that. Every day they go and they check for the tape and the rope at the parks. That's all 3 parks, and the signs to make sure that folks are aware it's closed. We had some issues with the tape breaking, and we've had some crazy wind lately, but they keep on top of that. There's 3 storm drains in the general vicinity of the corner of Maple and Bringle Streets. And some of them, the property owner said had never been cleaned out in the whole time that they were there. So the water authority has something that's called a water jet, I believe. So they worked, they coordinated. The water authority went in there and blew it into chunks, and then we used the street sweeper hose to clean it out. The spreaders and the plows were removed from the trucks, even though we got a little bit of snow the other day, and they washed out the beds so that they don't get corroded. They could certainly throw the stuff back on if they had to, but hopefully we're done with snow. And our streets department does a lot of servicing of the borough's vehicles, both their own as well as the police vehicles. So they did oil and filter changes and rotated the tires on our streets pickup and the police Explorer. And they're started this week digging out the lawn tractor and the mowers and changing the oil in those and sharpening the blades and everything, because the grass is, I think, a few weeks away from getting cut. I'd just like to throw out there that we talked about the possibility of street sweeping. John put together the schedule. We made sure all streets were covered on it. But then we weren't sure, whether that was a good idea at this time. And I believe in the standard speaker today and possibly yesterday as well, there were residents who had expressed some concerns about sweeping the streets over there and possibly stirring up the virus or anything. So, I don't know. Either way. We're doing the best that we can to have things be a little bit normal, but at the same time, I've said it before, safety first. So does anybody have any questions for streets?
Nope. All right, then. We'll move
All
on
right.
to fire, light, and water. Are you there, Joe?
I thought he was on.
Yeah, I see he's on there with his phone and on the computer, I see.
Joe, are you there for
Joe,
fire,
are you-
light, water? If you are, you have to unmute.
Yeah, you have to unmute, yeah.
I have the report.
Can you hear me?
Now we
All
can.
right, you're on. You're on.
Okay. For the month, there was 13 incidents, 9.0 hours in service. Training still on hold due to the guidelines from the fire commissioner. Maintenance for the month included all the preventative maintenance packages on all the fire apparatus, including the ladder service, and that all came back with clean bills of health. We had a leak on the 92 Seagrave plumbing. A pipe brought it through on us. So between us and one of the vendors that help us do some of our work, we had that repaired yesterday, and he finished it up today with us. So that's back on the, it was always on the road, but we were limited with the use, but it's now fully operational again. Couple other things. We're also using that Foster 48 mat. We spray our vehicles, the station, anything that's, that needs to be disinfected or sanitized, and we have good results with it so far. I'd also like to thank Insurrection Distillery for the hand sanitizer. And then also I'd like to thank Designs Unlimited for donating some masks to the fire department. That's a big help to us. I believe that's all I got for this month at this time. Does anybody have any questions?
No one? Okay, thank you. We'll move on to building and grounds. The Johnson Street drainage quotes.
Yeah, so I could speak. I could speak to this. So at the foot of the driveway for the ambulance building, there's a sewer grate that's a little bit sunk into the ground, and the pavement around it is pretty eroded away. I was able to stick my whole foot in the hole, and it went about up to my calf. So it's a pretty good sized hole there. And it's sinking in. So John brought it to our attention that it should probably be repaired. We talked about it on, John got a bid, but then we talked about it on council about getting a couple more bids. Did anybody from council get any bids? I did receive 2 more.
Negative.
We have
So I
3
guess the
bids.
first question is do we want to move ahead with fixing it?
Yeah, it has to be done.
I personally think that it's something that we could do in-house.
Well, I could tell you that I went into that hole multiple times going over there for a call, and you really feel it when you hit it with your vehicle. So I would make a recommendation that we try to fix it at least.
I don't disagree that it needs to be fixed. I just don't think, I mean, and I can't see the bids, but I don't think they're going to be anywhere near what I think we could fix that for in-house. So maybe if we just kind of look at the bids and take it from there.
Yeah. So
I'll go look at it with John, but I mean, we were there, Matt, you and I stood there at the election and, you know, we saw that crater. So we're aware of it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's gotten worse or not. I mean, the way that it's dipped down like that, maybe that works better for gravity because more water comes from up near the Coral Memorial down and goes into it. If we raise it up, is that going to actually hurt us drainage-wise? I mean, John's recommendation was to fix it. We did reach out to the engineer who said it should be repaired, but I don't believe he had a chance to get on site to do anything with it. So, you know, I think John's recommending that we get it fixed. The engineer is recommending that I get it fixed. That doesn't mean we can't come back and talk about that. I could tell everybody what the bids were. All right, so we had a bid for $1,975. We had a second bid that came in for $2,200, and we had a third bid that came in for $1,910. And this would come exclusively out of stormwater, since it's a stormwater repair. I did not talk to one of the vendors. I spoke with 2 of them. They've consistently said the same things. And I think there was a video going around about pothole repair where, you know, you don't just try to throw cement or macadam into the hole. You actually cut out some more until you have a good footing there to lay it in. So it varied between a foot and 20 inches that they would cut around it. They used the term riser. So they would lift the grate up, drill into it, insert rebar, put the riser down, and then reset the grate on top of it, and they would cement around it. But if there's any other macadam work that had to be done outside of the cement, that would be the borough's responsibility. So,
well, I mean, again, I'm not in disagreement that I think we should fix it, but I think let's, for at this moment, have a little better look at it, get the engineer out there. Others who are on this, I can see on this council meeting that have some expertise might want to look at it and give us some ideas before we go spending all sorts of money that I think I personally think could be avoided, because I think it could be fixed. And this is kind of what I do. So, you know, that's my opinion.
By chance,
just put it off until we have some more people look at it and give us their opinion.
By chance, can we have Dave Kavitsky look at it? I would think that
That's
there's
what
no better
suggesting.
person to have look at it.
Yeah, I didn't want to name names, but yeah, I agree with that. I think that would be a good idea. And anyone else?
Yeah, the only thing. Yep, and I don't have a problem with that. I just want to throw out some more food for thought that I should have said in the first place. So, because we're a municipality, there actually are concrete plants that are operating right now. It's hard to come by, so we may be delayed anyway by any vendor that we go with, but supposedly they are allowed to do the work right now. The asphalt plant is absolutely closed, so we are not going to be able to get our hands on any hot asphalt to do this ourselves. We may have to do something like modified stone or something like that, or we may have to pour concrete, a bag of Quickcrete in there, and with the intention of tearing it out later to do something more permanent. But, you know, if I'm not going to make the motion one way or the other, if we want to take another run at it and then come back next month. It didn't look like it was collapsing, so I don't think it's a safety issue at this point in time. But that's just me. I'm no expert either.
Yeah, and I again, Matt, it's not any worse than it was when we were standing there in November. So I think it's,
I could believe that. I could believe that.
If Joe Palco was a better driver, we wouldn't have any of these problems.
Yeah, okay.
And I don't have a problem, taking a look at it up for you guys, at no cost. The thing is, you got to understand there's a swamp under that area there, and the only way to resolve this, that was an older inlet in there for years, and that needs to be, like the contractors indicated, cut out and some good stone put down as a base below that piping so that you don't have the continued settlement there. But, we could look at it with John if he wants to give us a call sometime.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, Dave.
So at this point, are we sitting on these bids? Is that everyone's consensus?
I believe so. Any objections to that?
It's fine.
Okay, great.
Is there anything else on buildings and grounds? Anyone have anything? Nothing? All right, do we have an ambulance report?
Yeah, and Lynn, I have the ambulance report. For March of 2020, there were 38 911 dispatch calls, 25 transports, 8 no EMS needed, 1 lift assist, 2 backups to the fire department for gas and CO, 2 backups to PD, 1 for a warrant, and the other one was with PSP with a possible gunshot victim. That was it.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for the ambulance? Okay. Moving on to Parks and Recreation. I don't know if anybody has anything. I was contacted today by Mary Lloyd. 3 or 4 members would like to clean out flower beds in the park. Now, currently our parks are closed. She thought that would be a good time to do it while they're closed. Are there any thoughts on that?
I don't think that it's a good decision to allow any form of anybody gathering to do anything at this time, especially with the.
Well, my thought there is if the parks are closed and people see people in there.
That's, yeah, exactly.
They
They'll
run
think it's
into.
open. Yes, they'll all be running down there with a basketball.
We may run into people no longer obeying that the park is closed, and
Yeah.
right now they're doing a very good job of it, and that was my only fear. Other than I do understand, I'm sure they want, as Shane, you're on the board as well, to get out there and make it look pretty, but with it being closed, we're sending mixed messages, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
But if anyone else feels differently, let me know.
I think we need everybody to bear with us for just a few more weeks.
Right, and with that said,
hopefully.
I want to just, kudos to every person in Freeland because they've been doing a heck of a job obeying the rules and doing what they're supposed to do. They all need they definitely need to be praised for doing they've been fantastic.
They're taking it seriously.
Yes,
I agree.
yes.
And Leanne, the only other thing I thought of after reviewing Parks and Rec were the checks returned that you had received. You said you received 3 donations for the Easter egg hunt. Were they returned to the businesses?
No, they were not.
Okay, can you take care of that?
Yes, I will.
Okay, thank you. All right, anybody have anything else for Parks and Rec? Okay, all right. Move on. Is there a motion to accept the committee reports?
I'll make the motion.
Who was first?
It doesn't matter. It's Joe or
Billy.
me, whatever.
Billy was first.
Okay, Billy first, Joe second. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Resolutions and ordinances we took care of. My apologies for my dog. Opening of bids, we don't have any unfinished business.
Maybe he had something to say about that resolution or something.
It's possible. Any unfinished business? Okay, any new business or correspondence?
Yeah, I'd like to know at this time, I have two things here. The first is for 2 months now, we've had a current member of council has been charged with stealing from the borough. I understand that we can't do anything until after conviction, but there were rumors that she was going to resign, and it looks bad for us.
Okay.
It's
Okay, not something we need to talk about
we
here.
can address. Yeah, we cannot address that publicly at this time.
my second question.
Can we have an executive? I'm sorry. Can we have an executive? Because I think we had that property issue as well. Can the solicitor stay on afterwards?
Sure.
I believe, isn't there an issue with security on that though? I'm not sure.
I thought it was foregone because of the, we
Even
have
for
really no
executive?
choice.
Okay.
And just my second thing is, and this is for the solicitor, is there anything we can do? I understand that borough codes, that Pennsylvania, for boroughs, the council can't make the police schedules, but can we, under the state of emergency, do we have any different authority on that? Or even can council determine the amount of coverage to have and then still provide the ability to make the actual schedule to the mayor? And the reason I'm saying this is, and I'll be open and honest, there's been a few times that we've council has tried to make the police schedule a little bit better. Our opinions vary, but most of us do agree that there's an issue, and we need more coverage in the borough.
I think that one should also be under personnel and executive, Shane.
Okay.
Is there anybody else have anything for new business? Okay, if not, we're back to public input. Any public input at this time?
And remember to unmute your phone to speak.
Lynn, it's Wilson. As far as the town with everybody, like Joe said before, kudos to the public. Businesses, everything, everybody's been following suit. Even before the curfew and everything was put in place, everybody's done a heck of a job. Real quick, EMA did send out a thing today about food pantries, food assistance. I did fill out their questionnaire and send it back. If I do hear anything back on it, like I told you earlier, I will let you know.
Okay.
As far as the sanitation goes, I think you have done a phenomenal job, all departments, from police, fire, the ambulance. Everybody's using the same product. The ambulance has been using that Foster. It works great. Nobody's had any issues. I know I put the tallies up on our Facebook page. We actually have a Freeland Emergency Management Facebook page now. If people are interested, they can go on. It's Freeland Borough Emergency Management. And the information I get from Luzerne County, PEMA, the governor's office, and the Department of Health, everything's on there. And it's been very receptive. People are looking at the pages, and the message is getting out there.
Wilson, I have to say you're doing a phenomenal job with that. You have a lot of information. It's consistent, and you're doing a great job. I have nothing but good things to say about that. If you need anything from council, please reach out. We'd be happy to help. You're doing a great job.
I appreciate it. The other thing was too is people ask me the COVID cases. You can break it down by municipality, by zip code. It's on the Department of Health. I also put those numbers on there. Currently, there's 32 positive cases, 95 tested negative, but that encompasses all of 18224 zip code, which includes a portion of Butler, Foster Township, Jetto Borough. You don't know exactly where they're at. That is protected under the HIPAA laws, but at least they're giving you an idea of like the cells of where exactly they're at. But I'm not trying to create a panic, but it's public information. I feel the public needed to know that.
I agree.
So that's
Thank you.
also on there too. And that's all I got. And I'd like to say thank you again and good job to the council for their support and everything they've done up to this point.
And thank you to you all, EMA, fire, ambulance, police, who's all been doing a great job, as well as the office and the streets department.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, if not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Now, are we staying on? Are we going to kick people off the meeting and
We
try
would-
to have this executive? Or?
If you can ensure everyone's off and end the recording when it's,
All right, I'm going to send out a new invitation with a fresh link to council.
okay. All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, second by Joe. All right, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
All
All right, thank you, everyone. Have a good
Good
night.
night. Stay safe.
right.
Yep, absolutely.